Hello, and welcome to Lyla's Lullabies, where we spend time exploring with Lyla, a traveler who wanders the world at her own pace, while sharing her most enriching and restorative moments with you. In tonight's story, we'll follow Lyla as she explores the cinematic American city of Los Angeles. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to remember. Just settle in, get comfortable, and let yourself go. We're so glad you're here. Whenever you're ready, let's begin. The plane touched down at LAX just after 10 in the morning, the California sun already bright and warm. Lyla collected her bag and made her way through the terminal, following signs toward ground transportation. The energy of Los Angeles was immediate. The mix of languages and accents, the casual clothing, the sense that everyone was coming from somewhere interesting or heading somewhere exciting. She emerged into the arrivals area and spotted Max immediately. He was leaning against a pillar, scrolling through his phone, dressed in jeans and a faded band t-shirt, his sunglasses pushed up on his head. When he saw her, his face broke into a wide grin. "Lyla, finally!" He pulled her into a hug. "How was the flight?" "Smooth and uneventful. Exactly how I like them," she said, returning the embrace. "It's so good to see you, Max." "You too. It's been way too long." "Come on, let's get out of here. I'm parked in the structure." They made their way through the airport's maze of walkways, catching up on the basics, how things were going for both of them, mutual friends they'd seen recently, the general shape of their lives since they'd last been in the same city. Max had moved to LA 5 years ago to work in music production, and from his stories, it was clear he'd found his place. The parking structure was vast and echoing, and Max led her to a sleek electric car, a lucid, pale blue and futuristic looking. "This is yours?" Lyla asked, impressed. "Yeah, got it a few months ago. Completely silent, drives like a dream." He grinned. "Of course I do, Miss Honda," he said, referring to the Honda Civic he had had for years. "I went for something a little different." He loaded her bag into the trunk, and they settled into the car. The interior was minimalist and tech-forward, with a large screen dominating the dashboard. Max pulled out of the structure and merged into the controlled chaos of LAX traffic. "So here's my plan," he said as they drove. "I figured we'd hit Venice first. Canals, boardwalk, get you some real LA beach culture. Then Santa Monica Pier. Maybe walk the promenade. Lunch in Los Feliz. I know a great spot on sunset. And then, if timing works out, we'll catch sunset from Griffith Observatory. Sound good?" "Sounds perfect," Lyla said. "I'm completely in your hands. You're the expert." "Expert might be strong," Max laughed, "but hopefully I have leveled up somewhat since moving here." The drive took them through neighborhoods. Lyla glimpsed in flashes, strip malls and palm trees, colorful murals on building sides, food trucks parked in lots, the occasional glimpse of the ocean between buildings. The sky was that particular California blue, cloudless and bright, and the air coming through the vents smelled faintly of ocean and eucalyptus. "May is perfect weather here," Max said. "Not too hot yet, no June gloom. This is prime LA time." They arrived in Venice, and Max navigated to a parking spot near the canals. The area was residential and surprisingly quiet, a world away from the boardwalk bustle. The canals themselves were lovely. Narrow waterways lined with walkways, small bridges arching over them, houses facing the water, some modest and beach-weathered, others clearly million-dollar renovations. These were built in the early 1900s, Max explained as they walked. Guy named Abbott Kinney wanted to recreate Venice, Italy. Most of the canals got filled in over the years, but these survived. It's one of the weirdest, most charming spots in LA. Ducks paddled along the water, and a heron stood motionless on a dock, watching for fish. The houses were eclectic, Spanish Revival next to modernist glass, weathered beach cottages next to sleek contemporary designs. Gardens spilled over fences, bougainvillea cascading in bright magenta and orange. Kayaks and small boats were tied to private docks. They walked slowly, crossing bridges, following the pathways that wound along the water. The neighborhood felt like a secret, tucked away from the chaos of the rest of Venice. A woman tended her garden, and she waved as they passed. A cat sunned itself on a dock. Somewhere, wind chimes created a gentle melody. "This is so peaceful," Lyla said. "I didn't expect this." "Most people don't know about it," Max said. "They go straight to the boardwalk. Which is fun, don't get me wrong, but this is special." After wandering the canals for a while, they made their way toward the boardwalk. The change in atmosphere was immediate and dramatic. The Venice Beach Boardwalk was alive with energy. Street performers, artists, vendors, musicians, skaters, bodybuilders, tourists, locals, everyone moving together in a colorful, chaotic flow. Murals covered every available wall, massive pieces of street art depicting everything from social justice messages to surreal dreamscapes to portraits of California icons. The art was constantly changing, Max explained, as new artists painted over old works, the walls becoming a living canvas that evolved with the neighborhood. They walked slowly, taking it all in. A man juggled flaming torches while riding a unicycle. A crowd gathered around him, cheering and filming on their phones. A few yards away, a woman played violin, her case open for tips, her playing surprisingly beautiful amid the cacophony. Artists displayed their work on easels, paintings, drawings, photographs of Venice through the decades. "Want to check out Muscle Beach?" Max asked, gesturing toward an open-air gym where impossibly fit people were lifting weights and doing gymnastics on rings and bars. They stood at the fence, watching along with other spectators. A man was doing one-armed pull-ups, making it look effortless. A woman executed a perfect handstand on the parallel bars. This had been Arnold Schwarzenegger's gym, Max told her, back in the 70s. Now it was a tourist attraction and a serious gym all at once, the line between the two delightfully blurred. The beach itself stretched wide and golden, dotted with umbrellas and volleyball nets. Surfers waded in the water for waves, their silhouettes dark against the sparkling ocean. The air smelled of sunscreen and salt, and the food being cooked at nearby stands, tacos and burgers and churros. "This is so quintessentially LA," Lyla said, laughing as a man on roller skates glided past playing an electric guitar. "It's like everything I've seen in movies, but somehow more." That's Venice, Max said. It doesn't apologize for anything. It just is what it is. Weird and wonderful, and sometimes slightly sketchy, all at once. They walked the length of the boardwalk, pausing to admire murals or watch performers, occasionally stepping aside to let skateboarders pass. A drum circle had formed in a clearing, the rhythms infectious, people dancing unselfconsciously. A man sold sage bundles and crystals from a blanket spread on the ground. Another vendor had racks of vintage band t-shirts and sunglasses. Eventually, they made their way back to the car and drove up the coast toward Santa Monica. The drive took them along Ocean Avenue, the Pacific stretching out to their left, the famous California palms lining the street to their right. Santa Monica is more polished than Venice, Max said. More family-friendly, more tourist-oriented. But the pier is iconic, and the promenade is fun for people watching. He found parking in a structure near the pier, and they walked toward the ocean. The Santa Monica Pier stretched out over the water, its famous Ferris wheel visible from blocks away. The Pacific Park amusement rides, creating colorful patterns against the blue sky. The pier was busy but not overwhelming. Families with children headed toward the games and rides. Couples walked hand in hand toward the end of the pier to look out at the ocean. Fishermen lined the railings with their poles, hoping for a catch. The wooden planks of the pier were weathered and worn, and the whole structure had a nostalgic charm. "Want to ride the Ferris wheel?" Max asked. "Absolutely," Lyla said. They bought tickets and joined the line. When their turn came, they settled into one of the gondolas and the wheel began to turn. As they rose higher, the view expanded, the coastline curving away in both directions, the Santa Monica Mountains rising inland, the city spreading out beneath the haze. At the top, they could see for miles, the ocean endless and blue, boats dotting the water like toys. "This never gets old," Max said. "I've ridden this thing probably 10 times since I moved here, and every time, this view gets me." "I can see why," Lyla said. The height was exhilarating, the ocean air cool and fresh, the sense of space and openness profound. For a moment, they just swung there at the top. The wheel paused, held suspended between sky and sea. After the ride, they walked to the end of the pier, where the fishermen stood. A couple had just caught something, a small fish that they examined before releasing back into the water. Seagulls wheeled overhead, their cries mixing with the sounds of the amusement park rides and the ocean below. They left the pier and walked along the beach for a bit, then headed up to 3rd Street Promenade. The pedestrian street was 3 blocks of shops and restaurants and street performers, trees providing shade, outdoor seating spilling from cafes. A man created elaborate chalk drawings on the pavement, reproductions of famous paintings rendered in stunning detail. People dropped bills into his hat, and he nodded his thanks without pausing his work. Further down, a small jazz ensemble played, the saxophone player's notes floating clear and bright over the ambient noise. They found a bench and sat for a while, watching the flow of humanity. Tourists in shorts and sandals with shopping bags, locals on lunch breaks, teenagers in clusters laughing at something on a phone, an elderly couple walking slowly, hand in hand. "You hungry?" Max asked after a while. "Because I'm thinking we head to Los Feliz for lunch. There's this place on Sunset. Great patio. Excellent food. I'm definitely ready to eat, Lyla said. They walked back to the car and Max navigated away from the beach, heading inland. The drive took them through different neighborhoods. Brentwood with its upscale feel, Beverly Hills glimpsed in the distance, West Hollywood's energy. The streets were wide and palm-lined, the buildings varying from vintage architecture to modern glass and steel. Los Feliz had a different vibe, more laid-back, artistic, residential. The neighborhood nestled against the hills, tree-lined streets climbing upward, Spanish Revival homes with terracotta roofs tucked into the hillsides. Sunset Boulevard ran through the area, and Max pulled into a parking spot near a restaurant with a large patio shaded by a sprawling fig tree. The restaurant was busy but not chaotic, that perfect lunch hour buzz. They were seated at a table on the patio, where the temperature was perfect, warm but not hot, a gentle breeze moving through the leaves overhead. The menu was California cuisine, fresh, seasonal, with that particular LA emphasis on healthy but delicious. "This is my neighborhood," Max said, gesturing around. "I live about 10 blocks from here. Los Feliz is great, close to everything but still feels like a real neighborhood, you know? There's a community here." They ordered. Lyla got a salad with grilled salmon and avocado. Max got a sandwich with roasted vegetables and fresh mozzarella. The food arrived quickly, beautifully presented, and tasted as good as it looked. "So tell me honestly," Max said with a grin, "what would it take for me to get you to settle here in LA? I miss our jam sessions." Lyla took a sip of her iced tea, then smiled. "I miss them too. You know me, I've got to stay flexible on the move. Maybe that will change one day." "You seem happy here," Lyla observed. "I am," Max said simply. "I didn't think I would be. I was pretty skeptical when I first moved. But something about this city just clicked for me. The music scene, the access to nature, the diversity of everything. Food, people, neighborhoods. And honestly, the sunshine. I didn't realize what a difference it makes until I lived somewhere with sun, basically year-round." They lingered over lunch, the conversation flowing easily. They'd been friends a long time, had maintained the friendship through different cities and life stages, and there was something deeply comfortable about being together again, even though months had passed since they'd last seen each other. After lunch, Max checked his phone. "If we head up to Griffith now, we'll get there with plenty of time before sunset. We can walk around the observatory, maybe do one of the short trails, then watch the sun go down over the city." "Perfect," Lyla said. The drive to Griffith Observatory took them up into the hills. The road wound upward through Griffith Park, past hiking trails and picnic areas, the city falling away below them. As they climbed, the view opened up, the sprawl of Los Angeles visible through the trees, the downtown skyline in the distance, the basin filling the valley. Max found parking, and they walked toward the observatory. The building itself was Art Deco perfection, white walls and copper domes, perched on the hillside with commanding views in every direction. Tourists and locals milled around the grounds, taking photos, pointing out landmarks. The observatory is cool inside. Planetarium shows, exhibits about astronomy and space exploration, Max said. But honestly, The view is the main event. Come on, let's walk around to the front. They followed a path that curved around the building, and when they reached the front terrace, Lyla stopped in her tracks. The view was extraordinary. All of Los Angeles spread out before them, the downtown towers clustered together, the grid of streets extending in every direction, the neighborhoods and freeways and parks all visible, the whole massive city laid out like a map. In the distance, she could just make out the ocean, a strip of blue at the horizon. "This is incredible," she breathed. "Right? This is where you come when you want to understand the scale of LA. From down in the city, it's hard to grasp how big it is. But from up here," he gestured at the panorama. They found a spot on the lawn below the observatory, where groups of people had gathered to watch the sunset. Some had brought blankets and picnic supplies. Others just sat on the grass. The atmosphere was relaxed and happy, everyone there for the same reason. A young family was nearby, parents and 2 children. The kids were running around, their energy boundless, and their laughter carried across the lawn. The father was pointing out different parts of the city to them, naming neighborhoods and landmarks. "Have you been up here before?" Lyla asked one of the parents, a woman who was spreading out a blanket. "Many times," she said with a smile. "We try to come once a month or so. It's free, it's beautiful, and it never gets old. Plus," she gestured at her children, "they can run around and burn off energy, and we get to sit and enjoy the view." "Do you live nearby?" "In Glendale, just on the other side of the park. We're lucky, 15 minutes, and we're here." LA gets a bad reputation sometimes, but honestly, I love it. Where else can you have beaches and mountains and desert all within driving distance, this weather, this diversity? We traveled a lot before kids, and we always came back here thinking, yeah, this is home. Her husband had joined them, overhearing the conversation. "Plus," he added, "tacos. World-class tacos on every corner. That alone is worth it." Everyone laughed, and Lyla felt that particular warmth that comes from brief, genuine connections with strangers. The family settled onto their blanket, passing around snacks, and Lyla and Max found their own spot on the grass. The sun was lowering now, the light changing from bright afternoon to the softer, warmer tones of early evening. The city below was beginning to glow, building windows catching the sun, cars becoming streams of moving light as headlights came on. "Thank you for today," Lyla said. "This has been exactly what I needed." "My pleasure," Max said. "It's fun showing off LA to someone who likes to dive a little deeper. Most of my work visitors just want to do Hollywood Boulevard and Beverly Hills, which is fine. The city has so much more to offer." "What's your favorite thing that you've discovered since you've lived here?" Lyla asked. Max was quiet for a moment, thinking. "I think it's the diversity of experiences you can have all in one day. Beach culture in Venice, the classic pier in Santa Monica, lunch in a creative neighborhood, and then up here in the hills watching sunset over the whole thing. It's the fact that you can surf in the morning and ski in the afternoon, if you time it right. It's the taco trucks, and the high-end restaurants, and everything in between. It's the way the city is actually dozens of smaller neighborhoods, each with its own vibe, and you kind of build your own LA based on which parts you connect with." That makes sense, Lyla said. Max continued. Some people complain about the sprawl and the driving and the lack of a single defined center, but I love it. It means you can find your version of LA and live there, and someone else can find a completely different version and live there, and you're both in the same city but having totally different experiences. The sun was touching the horizon now, the sky beginning its evening performance. The clouds, few as they were, caught fire with pink and orange light. The city below was a study in contrasts, the bright towers of downtown against the softer sprawl of residential neighborhoods, the mountains dark against the glowing sky. People around them had gone quiet, everyone watching. Cameras and phones were out, but most people seemed content to just watch, to be present with the moment. There was something about a sunset that brought out a collective reverence, a shared appreciation for beauty. The colors deepened and spread, the entire western sky becoming a canvas of warm tones. The observatory's domes glowed in the light, and the city below reflected it all back, creating layers of color and light. I could get used to this, Lyla said quietly. So there's a chance you'll stay? Max said with a smile. Lyla winked at him and laughed. They sat together as the sun disappeared completely, as the sky shifted from orange to pink to purple. The city lights grew brighter as the natural light faded, and Los Angeles transformed into its nighttime self, a vast galaxy of lights, each one representing lives being lived, dreams being chased, the endless energy of millions of people all doing their thing. The observatory itself was lit now, glowing white against the darkening hills. The domes were illuminated, and the building had a magical quality, like something from a vintage Hollywood movie. People began to gather their things, heading back to their cars, but many lingered, not quite ready to leave. The temperature was dropping slightly, but it was still comfortable. That perfect California evening weather that made you want to stay outside as long as possible. We can stay as long as you want, Max said. I'm in no rush. A little longer, Lyla said. This is too beautiful to leave just yet. They sat as the stars began to emerge, though the city's light pollution meant only the brightest ones were visible. The moon was rising, a bright crescent in the eastern sky. The city below them continued its evening, car lights moving along freeways, buildings glowing, the whole vast machine of urban life humming along. After some time, they finally stood, brushing grass from their clothes, and began walking back toward the parking lot. The observatory was still busy, people streaming in and out, the planetarium show letting out, families with excited children talking about what they'd learned. The drive back down the hill revealed new views, the city lights now fully visible, stretching out in every direction, creating patterns and constellations across the valley. Max navigated the winding road expertly, the Lucid's electric motor silent, the ride smooth. Soon she could just make out the silhouette of the hills where they'd watched the sunset. She thought about the day, the peaceful Venice canals, the wild energy of the boardwalk, the classic charm of Santa Monica Pier, the views from Griffith Observatory. She thought about Max, clearly in his element here, having found his place in this sprawling city. She rolled down her window slightly. The night air was perfect, cool but not cold, dry and clear. From somewhere in the distance, she could hear music, the bass line of a club or a concert. Car lights moved along streets below, each one someone going somewhere. living their life in this massive, complex, fascinating city. The city hummed below her, endless and alive, full of stories and dreams and possibilities, and she felt grateful to be here, to have had this day, to have a friend like Max who could show her not just the sights, but the feeling of the place, the heart beneath the surface glamour. Through her window, the city spread out, glittering and vast, already preparing itself for tomorrow, for another day of sunshine and traffic and dreams and striving and tacos and sunsets and everything else that made it uniquely, undeniably Los Angeles.